Hello, and welcome to SHRF's how-to videos. This video will focus on the eligibility applications. After you've logged into the SHRF RMS, you'll want to make sure, prior to opening a funding opportunity, that you have the appropriate organization where funding will be held if you are successful. Once you have chosen that organization, click it, and then just make sure that the drop-down, the checkmark has moved to the organization where funding will be held. Again, this is very important because when you do go to open a funding opportunity and start the application process, this is difficult to change, so it's best to just do this at the beginning. So once you've done your organizations, the next step is to click on the funding opportunities, which will give you a list view of all open opportunities that you are eligible for. As you will see, for any application where you already have a draft started, you won't be able to click details, and that will be under your application section. Once you've decided which one you are applying for, click the View Details, go over the information. If you do need more information, and we do strongly suggest that you read through the application package, but if everything's looking good, click Proceed. And this will open up the eligibility draft for the application. As you can see, right now there's only 2 tabs, as you will need to complete the eligibility and go through the process prior to doing a full application. Some things to keep in mind is we give you some information, high-level points when it comes to the application. You'll then see that there is a navigation buttons on the side. The 2 main ones to focus on is the main and the notes. And then on your right-hand side in this application, depending on what tab you're in, you'll also have a jump to where you can click and it will take you directly to part of that application. So when you start, the first thing you're going to see is that a couple fields will be automatically filled based on your profile information. It's important to make sure that your profile is up to date and complete, as principal investigators are required to have completed profiles before submitting their full application. You'll also want to make sure that your name is correct, and as we discussed earlier in this video, that you have the correct organization where funding will be held. From there, you'll be able to fill in information, and there's usually 4 types of fields. You'll either have a text box, you may have a yes or no, and these yes or no's, depending on the question, if you choose yes, may then have further questions below it in a dynamic format. Or there will be buttons that will open up tables for invitations and other information. Please note that any questions where the information is mandatory will have a red asterisk beside it. The final type of field that we have is where if you see a square box, you can click multiple of those instead of just the one when it's a circle. And under the text information, the text boxes, sorry, there is the word limit, and it'll count down as to how many words you may have left. If you have filled in information but you won't be completing the application at this time, you can click Save Draft. This will make sure that your information is saved, and we suggest that you do this regular and often, as the system will automatically log you out after 60 minutes, and when you log in, you'll be able to start where you had first been, but we just still think that it's important that you always save your information. Once you've saved, you can then exit and come back at a later time. When you are looking for your application, you'll go down to Applications, and as you can see, there's now a 1 under Eligibility Applications. Click that box, and here you'll see all of your eligibility drafts, and this is whether you're a principal investigator or if you've been invited as a co-principal, co-applicant, or as another project role. In order to continue working on your grant, you will click the Open button, and then you can continue filling in fields once the application has loaded. Another new feature that we now have with this RMS system is you can click on Notes and then click on the plus sign, and you can send a note directly to the SHRF staff that will be tied to your application. So after you've typed in your question, you can click Save, and now you'll see that's been saved, timestamped, and SHRF staff will then receive an email, and we'll be able to respond to you whatever is the best way possible. It may be through another note on your application, or it might be through an email or a phone call. And then you'll be able to see the number of notes on the left-hand side. After you've completed all of the fields, you'll want to submit your application before the deadline. If you click submit, the system will then do a check, and it will tell you if the submission has not been able to go through due to fields that need to be completed. As you can see, you're then able to click on each of those issues, and you can go through where the system is highlighted where you need to complete the application. When you see that, you'll then click on the field or the button, and you'll go through and finish that information. After all of that's done, you'll then be able to hit submit, and what will happen is that the eligibility will move from eligibility, it'll stay in the eligibility applications, but it will move from the status of draft to submitted. And that's your eligibility applications.